Good afternoon from Geneva, Switzerland, and welcome to the Earth Prize webinar for mentors. To all of you who are joining us for the first time, I am Julie Rufino, the Head of Strategy at the Earth Foundation. The Earth Foundation was created in 2020, Geneva, Switzerland, with the aim of inspiring, educating, mentoring, and empowering young people with innovative ideas to tackle environmental challenges. Among other things, and very excitingly, the Earth Foundation is home to the Earth Prize, which is a global environmental sustainability competition for teenage students. The Earth Prize has $200,000 in prize money, but it is way more than that. It is an opportunity for participants to feel inspired and empowered. This will be done through learning materials and thanks to a pool of mentors. Today's webinar is dedicated to those mentors. So today I'm delighted to be here with the panel to talk to you about these mentors, who are in fact university students with a great passion for sustainability, entrepreneurship, activism, and impact. So today, let me welcome our panelists, and let me start with Annette Thomson. Annette is a Strategy and Operations Associate at the Earth Foundation, and she has been a terrific addition to the team. I'm also here with Steve Monfort, who is the former Executive Director and current Senior Advisor at the Smithsonian National Zoo and Conservation Biology Institute. Now, Steve Monfort is most interestingly also one of the members of the Earth Prize Adjudicating Panel. So a very warm welcome to both. Today, we will talk to you about the Earth Prize mentors and how this is part of the Earth Prize, and also talk to you about mentoring and how this is an important part of every person's life. At the end of the session, we will reserve time to answer any of your questions, which you can type into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. And now let's start. Let's hear from our panel. Steve, there is naturally so much more to you than your title. So maybe you can share a bit about your life, your passions, and your experience with our viewers.
Thank you, Julie. Well, we're here to talk about mentoring. And at this prize, we talk about the Earth Prize. I think it assumes that the people who might participate are already in love with nature. But how does that happen? You know, when I was a young 6-year-old, my father was in the military, lived in the Philippines, and my backyard was literally a jungle. And I would see macaques and rivers of bats flying across the sky and insects that you could hold in as big as my hand at that age. And I just became fascinated by the wonders of nature at that time, and just the exposure I was so lucky to have. When I was in 6th grade, we lived in California, and my backyard again was really amazing. It was a chaparral habitat, and there were coyotes howling at night and quail that you could hear, and we would go out and explore in nature. But importantly, I had a school teacher. Her name was Mrs. Brereton, and she was the first adult that I ever recognized as a mentor later in life, of course, because she encouraged my love of nature. And she would say, well, why don't you bring in, we would capture tarantulas, or we would find a king snake, and she would have us bring them into the class and share them with the class and learn about them. And I recognize her now as really my first mentor at that point. You know, by the time I got into high school, I was where many of the applicants for this prize were. You know, I wanted to figure out a way, how could I combine that love of nature into doing something to pay back, really, to help save it. It was a kind of a naive thought, but I thought maybe being a veterinarian would be a way to work with animals and do some good. So I started doing a college credits towards being a veterinarian. I wasn't a great student, though, in the beginning. And I knew I needed help to get into vet school, very competitive. And I looked for a mentoring opportunity. I did an internship, and we're at the San Diego Zoo. And there was the guy there, his name is Bill Lasley. And on my first day, he looked at me across the table, very intimidating guy, probably like I look to many young people today. Mm-hmm. And he said, "Who are you? And why are you here? And what do you want to do with your life?" And he was really one of the first adults to ever sort of challenge me and ask me what it was I wanted to do. And I didn't have a very good very good answer for him. But I started to work in science in this laboratory, and I never did well in science in college, but he helped me to understand that I could make a difference in science and that my contributions were valuable. And as a mentor, he really propelled me forward in my career because he gave me confidence to think that I could make a difference. So ultimately, I moved on. I did go to veterinary school. Subsequently, I wanted to merge my interest in being a veterinarian in a zoo and a wildlife situation with being a scientist. So I got a master's degree in physiology and ultimately a PhD in reproductive biology. But I became a specialist, and by the age of 30, I had all these degrees, and I came out of that experience thinking, how was all of this knowledge going to help me save species? And ultimately, I realized I needed to kind of, coming through the hourglass of being a specialist, I needed to go the other way. And I needed to learn more broad and have more broad understanding of knowledge and conservation and the problems threatening nature. And so I ultimately became what I call a conservation biologist. And that's a relatively new discipline, about 30 years old, that's based on the premise that biodiversity and functioning ecosystems are of benefit to current and future civilizations and all life on Earth. So that's what I am today. I'm a conservation biologist. I'm someone who believes that all resources and all sectors of society, people from all walks of life can contribute to helping to conserve nature, which we all depend upon for our own survival. So I've had so many amazing opportunities. I've really too many to even list, reintroducing species into nature. But I got to tell you, the thing that has made me the most stimulated and really proud in my career has been mentoring others and passing on the kind of knowledge and opportunities that I had for others to be able to do the same thing.
Thank you so much, Steve. That was very inspirational. And I have to say, we're delighted to have you on our panel, and especially given all of this experience that you bring with you, knowing that you will be one of the people selecting the winners of the Earth Prize is really fantastic. Now, let's hear from Annette. So, Annette, you joined the Earth Foundation in January, and you've been an amazing addition to the team. Would you like to share a bit about who you are and what your work at the foundation consists of?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Julie. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you to everyone who's joining us on this webinar. So as Julie mentioned, I'm one of the strategy and operations associate here at the Earth Foundation, and I joined 6 months ago, and I've been helping the team to shape the Earth Prize competition, amongst other things. Now, the great thing about working in a small team is that you really get to be part every step along its way. So for me personally, it's been an incredible learning experience, and I'm so proud and excited to be part of such a meaningful initiative. And of course, one of my main focus areas has been the Earth Prize mentoring, which we're all here today. I think mentoring is incredibly valuable for professional and personal growth for both the mentors and the mentees. And I'm really excited to help bring this opportunity to all university students and the Earth Prize participants.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Annette. So we obviously hear a lot of passion and enthusiasm from you. Now, Steve, I'd love to hear from you as well. Why did you decide to join the Earth Prize, and why do you think that the Earth Prize will have an impact?
Well, if you don't have to go very far to look, just follow social media, look in the news, and mostly what we hear about is gloom and doom when it comes to nature. It almost feels as if there's nothing that one can do. And if you overwhelm people with those sorts of messaging, there's a helplessness that sets in. And the truth is there's many successes in conservation. There are many, many examples of people who have personally or as parts of groups have made a difference. And so what I'm really focused on in my career now is trying to figure out how can we shift the narrative from gloom and doom to one of solutions. How can we find solutions to conservation problems, and how can we take those solutions to scale. And that's the most important thing, the idea of empowering the next generation. There's a saying that we borrowed the nature from the future. And the future are people that are going to be applying for this prize. They will soon be the leaders. And we need to start early in making sure they have the knowledge and the opportunity to be able to make an impact. So I think the Earth Prize is going to be a great opportunity for youth to really be, to try to express their creativity and their passion in trying to find a solution for nature.
Thank you, Steve. I obviously very much agree with that and truly hope that this is how things will happen. Now, Steve has talked about the distinctiveness of the Earth Prize. Maybe Annette, you can also share more on the Earth Prize Mentors Program and what's the big picture and why is it an opportunity for passionate university students?
Of course, happy to. So the purpose of the mentors is to offer guidance and support to the Earth Prize participants. So whenever the participants have a question about their project or any topic related to environmental sustainability or entrepreneurship, they can turn to their mentors. So that is the overall goal. The mentors really are there to help and support our participants. Now, for the university students, it's incredibly exciting opportunity because all of our mentors will become part of the Earth Prize Alumni Association, which will be a community of inspirational individuals and organizations offering mentorship, internships, networking, and professional placement opportunities. The mentors will also have access to our online learning platform, which will have educational content on environmental issues, interviews with change makers, and also real world practical skills training on how to affect change. And perhaps most excitingly, every year the Earth Prize participants will select a Mentor of the Year who will be awarded with $12,500 cash prize. So in addition to contributing to the students' innovative ideas, the mentors really can share their knowledge, gain new knowledge, boost their employability, and really become part of a community of inspiring individuals.
Thank you, Annette. So following up on this, Steve, can you maybe tell me why you think that being a mentor is an important part of someone's journey? Have you ever mentored someone and what did you learn from it? I know you shared some lovely stories with me and I'd love for our viewers to hear them as well.
Sure. I think when you talk about being successful in any field, first thing you have to have is desire to do something. And I would say the second thing you have to have is the opportunity to do something like make an impact. But all of us need validation in some way. And I mentioned earlier the role that mentors played in my career in helping to validate my passion and my interest and my opportunity that I was given. And so being a mentor is something that is, it's extremely powerful. And I think I would like to see people become mentors earlier in their careers, because there's this idea of paying it forward. There's nothing to stop a college student from being a mentor to a high school student or a graduate student to an undergraduate student and so on. And I think at each stage, mentoring can be extremely valuable. It's really about having a great mentor is something that can be someone who can be a lifelong champion for you and your career development and even your personal development. So really, what is it about mentoring that I think is so important is that in the context of the Earth Prize is learning to take advantage of mentoring that is available here. It's the beginning. If you aren't familiar with how to communicate to a mentor, it's about asking questions. It's about probing the knowledge that they have and trying to learn from those who might know more than you. It's recognizing throughout your life that there are always going to be people around the table that might be smarter than you in certain subject areas. Find a mentor. You have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to reach out to where they are. People like me are not in the same generation. There's different ways of communicating. So learning to mentor now is something that I hope will be a catalyst or having young people think of mentoring as being just a standard a behavior that they pay forward throughout their life. And I will tell you that, as I've mentioned already, I've had many interns and volunteers. It's really a fantastic feeling to know that you're helping someone else live out their dreams. And so I would say this is the beginning, an opportunity to learn the value of mentoring, and hopefully to learn that that is something that you also can become.
Yeah, well, that's again very inspirational. You're very good at this. So you mentioned, as you were saying, that through being a mentor, you can acquire various capabilities, and this leads me on to my next question. So, what sort of knowledge and capabilities do we want our mentors to have, Annette? What sort of candidates are we looking for?
Yeah, so the Earth Prize mentoring is open to all university students. So it doesn't matter what degree level you're at, if you're a bachelor student or doing your master's or PhD, as long as you're enrolled in a university, you can become a mentor for the Earth Prize. So our goal really is to have mentors from all over the world, from different degree backgrounds and specializations, to really create this big pool of knowledge for the Earth Prize participants. But of course, it's really important for us that our mentors are aligned with our mission. So we're really interested in university students who are passionate about sustainability, entrepreneurship, activism, or impact, and are really looking for an opportunity to share their knowledge.
Thank you, Annette. Now, for my last question to you, Steve, I'm going to come back on things you mentioned before. So you said that you did mentor young researchers and interns, and you also mentioned right in the beginning that you had the opportunity of being mentored even without knowing it when you were very young. Can you tell me more of why is it such an important part of a young person's development to be mentored, and why is it an important part of the Earth Prize, therefore?
Well, as I've had something like 75 interns and 25 graduate students and 5 postdoctoral fellows that I've mentored. And I look at a mentor is someone who isn't there to control the trajectory of someone's career, but it's someone there to gently guide and direct someone in a way that will help them really achieve their dream. And I said in the beginning, the first question I was asked by the mentor, and I did the internship in college, who are you and why are you here? Well, I ask the same question now to undergraduates. I believed in it so much, mentoring. I founded with university, the Smithsonian Mason School of Conservation. And it's an in-residence semester program. And each semester I get to sit with the students and I ask them that exact same question. I say, who are you? Why are you here? And what's your dream? And most of those people can't really answer the dream question very well because it's very intimidating. When I was 20, I wanted to save the world, but I was afraid to say that out loud. Most of what I've learned though, from hundreds of responses, is that what young people will say is what I think pretty fundamental for humans, is that I want my life to have meaning. I want to make an impact, and I'd like to be part of something bigger than myself. And so that's something that is pretty amazing. If you can help someone do those things, then you're actually helping yourself also achieve the same goal. You're being part of something bigger than yourself. And when it comes to nature, we're trying to solve some really wicked problems. And when you get to my stage of a career, or you learn that, or you understand that the problems we're trying to solve won't be solved in one career or one generation, even in your lifetime. And so it's so important for us to create these knowledge bridges across successive generations, because that's the only hope that we have of ensuring that we can be successful in solving these problems. So mentoring is part of that. Mentoring for me is making sure that everything that I've learned and that I've done and that my teams have done are passed on to the next generation so that they'll have an opportunity to carry on where we left off. So for me, mentoring is absolutely essential. It's kind of the glue and it's the bridge between generations to make real action happen.
Thank you, Steve. I completely agree with what you're saying, and it's very beautiful. We will strive to create bridges between generations, and actually also between disciplines, right? So thanks to our mentors, we will have a pool of people with different interests and different pieces of knowledge. And this is really what we strive to create with the Earth Prize Mentors Program. So that was spot on. Thank you very much, Steve. Now, I'll move on to the last question that I have for the panel, and this is for Annette. So Annette, you've been part of this organization and brainstorming on the Mentors Program from the very beginning, and you've helped us define the philosophy behind it, the big picture, and also obviously the nitty-gritty details. So maybe we can dive into those just for a moment, and you can tell us what's the time commitment, what are the dates, and what do we need to know as mentors?
Of course. So the mentoring will start on September 1st, 2021, and will last until January 31st, 2022. But the mentors will have the opportunity to stay till the end of March to work with the finalist teams if they wish to do so. In terms of time commitment, we're expecting our mentors to spend about 1 hour on our platform answering questions, but of course they're more than welcome to spend much more time if they wish. It's also important to note that all of the mentoring will take place through our online platform, so there will be no direct interactions between the mentors and the participants. So the way it will look like is whenever a participant has a question, for example, about the project, they would go to our website, type their question anonymously, which then all the mentors can see. And then depending on the mentor's knowledge or interest, they can choose which question to answer. And so all of the questions of the participants will be visible to all the mentors. And in fact, more than one mentor can answer the question.
Great. Thank you, Annette. And thank you, Steve. So thank you to both of you for your insightful thoughts and comments. Now I'm happy to open the stage to the Q&A part. I see that we already have quite a few questions in the chat, so I will be looking through them and fielding them, and we will answer the questions that we can in the time given. So let me see here. Okay. Right, so the first one from an anonymous attendee says, hey, I was wondering, how are the mentors selected? Okay, well, maybe Annette, you can take this one.
Yes. Of course. So there is a thorough application process that has already started, and which includes reviewing all the online applications, conducting live interviews, checking all the references, and so on. So we really are selecting our mentors really carefully to ensure that we have the best mentors possible for our Earth Prize participants.
Thank you, Annette. Now, a second question, also an anonymous attendee. I want to be a mentor, but what happens if I cannot answer the question? Well, that's a good question. So just in general, we as the Earth Foundation are always extremely happy to have people who want to help. And as I said before, we're going to have a very diverse pool of mentors. Now, if there is a question that you want to answer, but you don't know exactly, we encourage you to do research, because being at university, you will have acquired the skills and also you have the resources to do so. But if it's a question that the mentor really feels that he or she cannot answer, there is no need to worry, because another mentor will be able to, and we will care for that. So that answers the question. Right, another one from Grace D. Cunningham. Wow, Steve is so impressive. Can you maybe tell us why conservation is so important? Steve.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. You know, really it's about biodiversity, and biodiversity is all life on Earth, and it's including humans, and it's biodiversity provides us or provisions us with everything that we need to survive and thrive. It's the air we breathe, it's the water we drink, it's the food we eat, it's the fuel and the fiber that we need to survive. So when we save biodiversity, we're really saving ourselves, and everything from economic benefits to really even religious and cultural benefits that come from nature. So it's absolutely vital that we recognize that nature is a system that provides us and provisions us with what we need to survive, whether it's oceans or terrestrial, the entire system. It needs to function properly in order to do those things that benefit humankind. So that's really what conservation is about. It's about making sure that biodiversity and functioning ecosystems exist and will be sustained forever, hopefully.
Hopefully, indeed. We have another question here, which is, what qualities do you look for in prospective mentors? Maybe, Annette, you can take this one.
Yes, of course. That's a great question. So it's really important for us to have mentors from really very different backgrounds, so that we have really a wide selection of mentors who can answer questions on very different topics. But what we're also really looking for is the passion, that the mentors are interested in sustainability, they're interested in entrepreneurship, they want to make a change, and they really want to, make a difference and share their knowledge. So that's very, very important for us. So it's a bit of both. It's a bit of what they study, but also very much their passion. So I hope that answers the question.
I think it does. Thank you, Annette. I have another one here from an anonymous attendee saying, can I participate for more than a year? So I suppose you mean, can you participate 1 year and then the next? So the answer to that question is yes, yes, and yes. We as the Earth Foundation are always extremely happy to welcome anyone who wants to help us and then obviously help the people that we are supporting. So if you are a university student and you're interested in applying to be a mentor this year, and then you want to be a mentor next year, and you want to bring all your friends to be mentors next year, do it. We're looking forward to that. I hope that answers the question too. Great. I read on your website that there will be a mentor of the year. How will this mentor be selected? Maybe Annette, you can take this one.
Yes, so that is a very exciting part of the mentor program. So the mentor of the year will be selected by the Earth Prize participants. So each participant will get to vote for their favorite mentor. So that could be someone who answered, provided the best answers to their questions and so on. So we as foundation will then count the votes, and then the mentor who has gotten the most votes will be selected as the mentor of the year.
Fantastic. There's a question here from Sarah Estelle Griswein. She asks, will mentors see previously given answers on the platform so that we can build on each other's ideas and pieces of advice as well? That's a very, very good question. Annette, maybe you want to take this one on as well?
Yes, of course. So absolutely, mentors will be able to see the previously given answers and all the questions. So we really do encourage the fact that they can bounce off each other ideas and maybe brainstorm together and so on. So definitely that will happen. But what's important is that the participants, so the Earth Prize participants, will not see the other questions that the students have answered. So it's just the mentors who have the total view of all the questions.
Fantastic. And it's soon time to wrap up, so I'll choose a final question. And just so you know, all questions that we haven't answered now, we will answer by email, so not to worry. This is from Jacqueline Wambua. Hi, where should I send my application to become a mentor? That's a great question, and it's an easy one, so I'll give it to Annette.
Thank you, Julie. So you can apply to become a mentor on our website. So if you go to the foundation website and you go to the Earth Prize Mentors, at the bottom there will be apply to become a mentor, and there's an online application that you can fill out, which will include a few questions, your CV, your motivation statement, and then you can send it away and we will review it and get back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Annette, and thank you, Steve, for being here today with me for this webinar. It's been a lot of fun. I hope it's been fun for you. And thank you to all of our listeners, viewers, tuning in from around the world. It's been a pleasure. Now, I would like to emphasize again that we really see how the Earth Prize Mentors program is an extreme value added for the mentors and the mentees, and also the teachers of the mentees, I should add. So we really are looking forward to seeing plenty of applications flood in. And you can find that, as Annette was saying, on our website. Now, thank you for everything. It's been a pleasure to be here with everybody. And all that's left for me to say is have a nice morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you're based. And I look forward to seeing you on the next webinar. Thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you and goodbye.